Yes, I'm Patrick Danquah, human design coach and podcast host. Welcome to another episode of my favorite subject, human design, where we strip away the layers of conditioning, get back to the core essence of who we are, who we're meant to be so we can align with what's authentically right for us. I'm also sharing my experiences and how I've experienced it with my design in hopes that we can all find alignment and get back to the core essence of who we are and who we're meant to be. Feel free to comment and subscribe. I left the contact information below with my links, whether you want to do a one-on-one reading or if there's some things that have come up for you and you'd like me to speak to it on upcoming episodes. So if you're new to human design is really here to help you discover who you are before any outside conditioning starts to impact who you are and how you make decisions. So I thought a good place to start is the history of the generator. We'll get into some of the characteristics and gifts. We'll talk about conditioning and how that's impacted them. And then we'll get into the satisfaction and not self themes. Historically, generators have been the great builders. And according to my mentor, they were considered to be extremely valuable by those that ruled at the time because they had this sustainable energy and endurance. And when you bring us to a current state, generators are the ones that are the doers, the ones that are able to go because they have that endurance, because they have that life force energy. Generators make up 36% of the population. And when it comes to their aura, they have this warm, magnetic, enveloping aura. Right. So they're constantly bringing in the things that they love. Now, one thing that stands out for generators is you have this sustainable energy, this sacral life force energy, which means you're here to do what you love. Right. Now, the key is doing what you love. The more you do what you love, the more you'll have access to this energy and the more lit up you'll be. The idea is use your strategy and authority to discern what is meant for you and what is not meant for you. So as things come to you in life, you know what to respond to. So their theme or their role in humanity is really to build what they love, do what they love, and master the skill over time. I think this is an absolutely beautiful journey because life is constantly sending you things to respond to. All you really have to do is discern by using your strategy and authority, find out what's right for you, responding to that, tapping into your sacral. And because you have this life force, endurance, and abundance of energy, you're able to do what you love, bring it into fruition, and master it at the same time. So what makes a generator a generator? If you're a generator, this will be illustrated on your chart where you can get on Genetic Matrix or mybodygraph.com. So the first fact is you have a defined sacral shown colored in on your chart, which means you have a fixed and sustainable energy. Now the sacral is all about life force energy, and you have a fixed access to this energy, which is constantly being outputted. And this is what gives you the endurance. Secondly, you don't have a motor connected to the throat. Your motor is one of your four centers. It can be your root, your solar plexus, your heart, or your sacral. And this is what gives you energy to move forward and take action. Many people also call these motivational centers. What's good to note is that generators, you do have a defined throat, or you can have a defined throat, but it won't be connected to your sacral center. Third, the sacral is very primal, and the sound that it makes is very primal. And this is because it uses no words, and that's how it bypasses the mind. This is how it allows you to get out of the mind and back into your body and into your sacral for wisdom. The generators, you have this abundance of energy and endurance. So you're meant to do what you love to do. Now, that access to that endurance is there provided you're doing what lights you up. My partner is a generator and she's always willing to help and assist, and I love her for that. The thing with generators is they need to make sure they're doing what lights them up. By doing so, they tap into that sacral energy, and that's when the endurance kicks in, and that's when you master skills over time. What they need to know is they have the capacity to get stuck doing things. They have the capacity to overcommit to things and find that they're using their energy in things that they don't like, whether it's people pleasing or just busy work, because they've kind of misplaced their energy. And a challenge for a generator is once they've committed, they don't want to be the person that pulls away from what they've committed to. So they really end up kind of seeing things out to the bitter end. So again, important that they really follow their strategy and authority. And generators have this desire to help. And this is something they have to be mindful about because oftentimes people will notice it and might take advantage of that. And then they'll find that they're overcommitting to things. They're getting pulled in multiple directions. They're left feeling overworked, overwhelmed, burnt out, and depleted because they're not investing time into themselves and what they want to do or not getting enough rest. So it's really mindful for them to be careful of where they're using their energy. Now, the difficulty that they have is they often misinterpret or equate waiting to respond to doing nothing. And I get it, doing nothing can be challenging for an energy type that's constantly generating, and I used to do quite a bit of this, and I had to take some inventory, and I still continue to work on this, because I have the energy to, and because I have the drive to, I would equate that to, well, then I must do it too. But you don't, right? It's really about carving out space. It reminds me of the saying, the lion of the lioness does not go after every opportunity that comes and every animal that comes in its way, but it waits patiently with grace and holds its posture. and waits for the right thing to come to it. It has the strength to, the intelligence to, the speed to, but it doesn't. It's really about applying that belief and understanding and trust and waiting for the right things to respond to, but not responding to everything. Right. And if the lion went after everything that came in its vicinity, or if it watched the other animals and said, well, I'm going to chase whatever everyone else is chasing, it would misuse its energy. And we apply it to ourselves. It's just also saying, knowing and discerning what opportunities are right for me so I can respond to it, but also knowing that because other people are chasing other opportunities in life and because other people are getting success in doing that, it doesn't mean that we have to do that. We have to follow what's right for us. We have to follow what comes to us. And because you have this enveloping aura, you have to choose and discern what comes to you, but trust that it will. So when you begin to understand your energy type, you begin to know what challenges are highly correlated to your energy type. And that knowledge alone is power, and that gives you peace of mind, right? It gives you this understanding of yourself so you can A, be unapologetically who you are and okay with where you are. But B, it also gives you line of sight so you can be more proactive and less reactive to life, right? You begin to apply your strategy and authority to areas in life that you've either encountered resistance or that you kind of fell into the hands of conditioning, so you can begin the process of deconditioning yourself. When it comes to challenges, one of the main sources of conditioning generators face is they feel that if they don't initiate, nothing will happen, resulting in them getting stuck or quitting too soon. They have this underlying feeling that nothing will happen for them if they don't move forward and initiate, and this results in them using their energy inefficiently. And as I mentioned before, just because we have this sacral energy doesn't mean we need to be using it all the time. It's really about understanding where to use your energy. When we misuse it, that's when we feel overwhelmed, depleted, and burnt out. It's about understanding that, yes, I have this abundance of energy, this enormous energy, but discerning where I use it, where I put it forward. And whether you look at the mechanics of your chart or you've experienced this through lives, people are constantly saying, wow, you have so much energy. Or, wow, look at you. I wish I had the energy that you had. Or I can't do as much as you can in a day. So people feel guilty, right? Especially if you want to come from a place of you want to help, you want to provide, and you want to help, and you want to lend a hand. But what we also have to remember as generators is, you're at best and you can really help when you show yourself love first and you carve out time and space energetically for yourself so you can replenish, so you don't feel depleted because you've overspent your energy. It's really about understanding, am I putting myself first? And am I doing what lights me up? And even in the event where we're doing what lights us up, rest is a key component to our growth. And for me, it was realizing I'm doing things because I think I could. And now I'm doing things because I think I should. So whether I wanted to do them or not, and whether they're in alignment or not, I'm committing to these things. And I realized that I'm not being authentic to myself, right? As generators, we really need to understand if we're doing things from a place of could or should, we're not doing it what feels right for us. And we're not being authentically true to ourselves. And we really need to get back to what feels authentically right for us, because that's how we maintain this abundance of sacral life force energy. And I think this is so important because life is beautiful and life has the capacity to be beautiful. But because of conditioning, we find ourselves overcommitting to things and feeling stuck in things, and we feel unfulfilled. And that's not a way to be living our lives. And this reminds me when I was working in corporate before I started entrepreneurship, when I told people I wanted to do consciousness and human design and entrepreneurship, everyone thought I was crazy. And even my family couldn't understand it. They wanted me to stay in corporate because it's guaranteed income and it's more money. But at the end of the day, your happiness is what's so important. And it wasn't about me doing what makes other people happy, but it's doing what makes me happy. But the comments I would get is, why don't you get a real job? But you have to ask yourself, what is real? If it makes you happy, is it not real? If it lights you up, is it not real? If it brings you satisfaction, is it not real? You determine what's real for you. But I think those are key things that we all need to consider, rather than living a place of unfulfillment, frustration, stress, bitterness, burnt out. Oftentimes we stick to those things and we call them real because they provide financial reward. But you have to ask, is that real? We spend our whole life chasing other people's dreams and title and money and our perceived notion of what success is. We live by that. We create that. But a lot of us feel unhappiness because we're not aligning with who we are. We have to ask yourself, what if that one thing obscuring you from your purpose is that one thing that you've based your whole identity on? Is that one thing that you built your whole world on? Is this perceived notion of what it means to be going after something that's real? I've come to realize that The things that have proven to be most fulfilling are the things that have come to me after I've been using my strategy and authority. I've come to realize that a lot of my decisions came from conditioning. A lot of my decisions came from fear. I just never questioned it. So I was living in this illusion. But once I applied my strategy and authority, I've started to realize what I'm fully aligned with. The challenge is sometimes we get into our head. So it's constantly going back to your strategy and authority, paying attention to your intuition and allowing that to guide you to your truth. And knowing that when you get in your head, it's going to create fear. It's going to create past conditions of, limited beliefs. It's going to have you thinking in the past. And the thing is, when you get attached to this distorted thinking of what you think life should look like, because we're in our heads and outside of our bodies, we start to want to commit to those things because we think like that's the path. Let me use the path of logic and reasoning instead of tapping into my body, because I've learned to suppress my emotions and suppress my feelings and suppress my instinct. So I get to a place where I don't trust my strategy. Another mistake that generators can make is they think too much, allowing the mind to override the sacral. When you overthink, it has the capacity to blur your gut response. And when that happens, you find yourself committing to all kinds of wrong people and wrong things and wrong pursuits. I understand this because I found myself in relationships or in jobs and places of employment that weren't fulfilling. But I found myself there because at the time I thought that's what I wanted. I was so attached to the conditioning personality of myself. And I was so attached to the logical reasoning part of myself that it made sense. I allowed it to make sense, right? But these distortions had to be breaking down, right? I felt as though I would make other people happy if I did them. And I felt as though I'm doing what my peers are doing. And I felt as though, the financial gain is why I should do it. And, I remember one of my friends saying to me, he's like, you don't do what you love for work. You do what you have to do for work. Although that sounded depressing at the time, it made sense. As a man, as a lot of men, my mother would say, and I love my mom, she would say, as a man, you have to make sure you're taking care of your family, which I believe, but it was also, you have to sacrifice your happiness in order to do so. And that's what a good man does. So clearly, and it's a cultural thing. And to a sense, I understand it, but I think what we need to understand is when we tell people that your desires should be suppressed, you're killing a bit of their soul, right? And again, people are just projecting the limited beliefs and fears onto you because they've been told that this is the way things need to be. And it's outlandish and crazy and jarring to go after what your heart desires. But again, it's really understanding that we need to break through the layers of conditioning, get away from what the mind says, and not make decisions out of fear. Because again, those decisions came from a place of fear, saying like, if you follow your desire, what if you don't make money? The verbiage I would always hear is, these jobs are guaranteed income, so continue because it's safe. You get benefits or a 401k, so continue because it's safe. But what it is, it's just creating a life full of fear. So, I emphasize this right now because I understand how powerful life can be when you do things out of a place of love and enjoyment, and you're following your soul and you're following your spirit. This is how we're meant to live. We're supposed to honor those things. Those nudges are not accidental. They want you as bad as you want them. We just need to learn to listen to them again, communicate with them, and follow our strategy and authority as a way to guide us there. Sometimes that thing that you love, that lights you up, may be your job or a source of employment. And sometimes it's not. You could still have a job and you could be investing in time in what you love. And I think that's okay, because I know this can be triggering sometimes for people. It's like, well, I'm not doing what I love. But it's not about that. I think it's just understanding, am I carving out space? Am I making room? Am I spending time? Am I following my strategy and authority to do the things that I still love and enjoy? And maybe I do both. Maybe my job allows me to do what I love and enjoy, and what I love and enjoy is not supposed to be my job. Or maybe I want to transition, and maybe my job is my job until I can do what I love and enjoy. But it's really just kind of using that as a filter to understand, am I at least giving myself time, space, and permission to find what I love and investing in it? So strategy is how each energy type is meant to use their energy in a productive way to reduce resistance. Strategy shows us how we're meant to interact with the energy of the world and how we're supposed to move with the least amount of resistance to navigate this material plane. Following your strategy allows you to live a life with more ease and flow. The challenge is most of us are living in this fast-paced, go, 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 hustle and grind culture, and we've subscribed to it without even realizing it. So the idea is by following your strategy, we can begin this process of deconditioning. We can start doing things that align with who we truly are and moving at a pace that's full of grace. The idea is we all have this internal GPS and we all have this vehicle. And in this vehicle, we have this guidance system. And our strategy allows us to align with this guidance system so we can find the right jobs and relationships and opportunity that are authentically true for us. And when we do that, we're living in our satisfaction theme. When we're living in our conditioning and we're not following our strategy, that's when we find ourselves living on our not self themes. For generators, your strategy is to respond. Learning to respond to things that come to you from your external reality. Inspirations and opportunities and people are naturally drawn to you. So you need to allow those opportunities to come in so you can learn to what to respond to. It's about getting a sign from the universe, whether it's a nudge, whether it's a synchronicity or it's a sign, and learning how to respond to that. It's about moving away from this reactive nature and allowing the universe to send you something to respond to. You have this magnetic enveloping aura, which means things are constantly coming towards you. You just have to be in a place where you're willing to receive. The most fulfilling things are going to be the things that you respond to. So now it's about energetically creating space so what you want can come towards you. And now it's just a matter of following your strategy and authority and responding to it. Now, responding also means waiting. Waiting may mean having opportunity to work on yourself, growing and improving yourself before you get in a relationship so you can be a better person. We don't want to look at waiting or time in between as I need to go, I need to chase, I need to create. It could just simply mean focus on yourself and whatever that means. And then when the timing is right, the opportunity will present itself, right? Being in a constant state of doing is energetically different than being in a state of receiving. And it can indicate to the universe that you don't have the capacity to receive, that you don't have enough room on your plate to add any more to it, that your plate is full. And it can block what you want to come in. Most of us, we're all in this rush, because conditioning, we feel like we have to do things yesterday. And because we didn't do it yesterday, we're behind the ball. Once we learn to trust the process, we understand that everything is meant to unfold in a beautiful way. Childbirth is 9 months, and that's a beautiful process, but it's 9 months in order to prepare the baby for the life ahead of it, right? So we have to just trust the process. We can't speed up things that are not meant to speed up. We just have to be in flow and trust and surrender to our strategy and authority. We also need to learn to create energetic space in our life. Doing a lot of the things that light you up. For me, it was dance, but also doing things that allow you to attune and align with your body. Whether it's emotional cleansing, meditation, inner child work, creating a wellness system that works best for you, eating nourishing foods and sleeping on time, but really putting yourself first so you can get in tune with your body, align with your strategy and authority, and tap into your intuition and make space for what you need. So if you're following your strategy and authority, you'll notice that your sacral motor will make this sounds, sound, this which is that yes, or this which is that sacral no. And that's going to align you with your truth. So as long as I'm having this communication with my sacral, listening to my gut response, it's really going to align me and lead me and direct me where I need to go. So the second part of making aligned decisions is following your authority. Now, I won't get into too much of authority today, but for me, I'm an emotional authority, which means I really have to allow my emotions to subside and neutralize before I make an aligned decision. For me, it's about giving myself permission to come back to things, giving myself permission to say, let me sleep on it. Let me think it over. I'll get back to you, but not making decisions out of haste. Overall, though, your authority really allows you to have clarity, allows you to have space so the right things can come to you in the right timing. And then when they do come to you, you have the capacity and ability to hold on to them. So next, I want to talk about your not self themes and signature themes. And when you're living in alignment or you're living out of alignment, you're going to experience signs and signposts to let you know that you're on the path of alignment or you're doing things that you need to revisit because you're not in alignment. For generators, when you're not in alignment, you will experience your not self theme of frustration. And when you're in alignment, you will experience the theme of satisfaction. When they initiate, their energy gets stuck. And when their energy gets stuck, they can feel themselves being frustrated because it's not being used or maximized or utilized the way they want it to. Or when they're making decisions out of scarcity and fear and uncertainty, but they're leading and creating with fear, that could also lead them to a place of frustration because they're doing things from the place of their mind, their rational thinking, as opposed to aligning and attuning with their body. We have to trust more, relax more, and we will receive more on this journey of life, whether it's relationship or work, sometimes we try to stack and do as much as we can, as I alluded to before. And it's really creating space for what you want to come towards you. It's stopping the noise from constantly coming in. Someone said, the quote goes, if there's not space between music, it's just noise. And we have to learn to create space in this melody of life. When we look at the not self theme of frustration, the other thing that we have to realize is sometimes when you're experiencing frustration, it can mean you're about to have a breakthrough. And that can be very exciting. We're learning from our experiences. I'm a line 6, so I'm constantly learning from my experience. And I've constantly lived as a line 3, where I'm learning through trial and error or mistakes. I like to call them experiences. And if we embrace our experiences and the frustration in it, we can see that on the other side, there's something beautiful about to happen. Sometimes what we do in frustrating situations is we may give up because we say, oh, there's frustration, so I completely need to stop. Or there's frustration there, so I need to just throw up my hands and give up entirely. And then we can stop things that we were on the path to, and we can give up things easily. So really, again, like I said, paying attention to your strategy and authority, and knowing that on the other side of frustration, there's something beautiful that's about to happen. So always look at it as a beautiful thing in the process of being created. And generators, this is what it's all about. Really tapping into your signature theme of satisfaction, which means paying attention to the signs, paying attention to the symbols, hearing what's coming to you, and giving yourself space to respond to it, but filtering everything through your strategy and authority. That process of deconditioning starts with us getting out of our minds and into our bodies. We're all capable of so much. Part of the reason why I speak to this is because it's so powerful, and it changed my life by putting it into practice. It's a constant experiment. And I would reach out to anyone and say, find something in your life where you feel some resistance and start to tap into your strategy and authority. And that's where you'll find peace and satisfaction. Thank you, and I hope that helped. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, comment, or ask any questions. The contact information is below. Thank you.